Look at those fish. Alright, chain jig is going down. Lake George is just, oh, look at them. See, as soon as that comes in, they get interested. Now I've got a fly up top. Oh, they just took the fly. Shoot. Wow, look at that. It's turning the whole school. Man, they are just pounding it right now. When they're in groups like that, that's, okay, here's the jig. When they're in groups like that, they're more active because they know if they don't take it, somebody else will. There's one taking it. I'm not even going to catch him because it's too cool. Oh, looks like he's determined to be caught. Here's the fly. Come on, get that fly back in there. They're going to go for the fly. Oh, got him off. Okay. Well, that guy's got some spike issues. Look at this. Boom. Alright, he's coming up. He seems friendly. There he is. There he goes. The limit on Lake George is 50 perch, which sounds crazy until you throw the underwater camera down there and see what this fishery really looks like. We certainly don't want to kill them all, guys. You know, that's not what I'm saying, but it is a sustainable population. Okay, so that school, it looks like that school may have just moved by. If I had been fishing more aggressively and dropping and picking up, dropping and picking up, I'm pretty sure I could have kept that school around. They're looking for something to eat, right? You know, that's, and if it's not happening here, they're gonna keep moving. But man, this is so much fun. Also, if we're trying to hammer them, it's so much better if you got two guys side by side. You keep the jigs down. You saw that, like, when they were swimming along in that big school, you could almost see like their fins were down. They were in a calm action mode, and they were searching, just like a coyote searching for mice, right? And then when they find it, that's when they turn on. And today, I mean, it's not every day. Like, there's lots of days when you're just working with kind of a neutral fish, but today it's you know, they talk about, I wish you were here yesterday. Well, this is yesterday. Got another weird reed here. I've actually hooked my line and I've given you a look at the landscape. This is not your standard perch bed. Your standard perch bed is just solid weeds. This is actually about 20 feet. Usually I'm in 35, 32 to 35. This is 20 feet. It's got this muck bottom and a couple of these cabbage weeds. They run a little funny looking on your Vexlar. Sometimes that'll look like a school of fish. But there's a lot of life in that mud. Lake, is that a lake trout? Oh, come on, come on. Pretty sure. Yeah, look at that lake trout. Look at that lake trout right there. How cool is that? Can you see him? That's pretty sweet. There's a lake trout, 17 feet of water, swimming off in the distance. All right, maybe we gotta catch him. So we didn't get that laker, but we got a bunch of perch. And I put that footage together, and I realized that footage, I'm really glad you made it this far, because that footage really delineates a key to catching bigger perch. And the problem, lots of lakes have this problem. I get lots of comments on YouTube, hey, I'm just catching a bunch of dinks, little perch, what do I do? How do I get the bigger ones? And if you look at the topography there, you're gonna see the mud and those bigger leafy weeds and stuff. And if you go out further in Lake George, you're gonna find 32 feet of water, 35 feet of water, these grassy algae weeds on the bottom, like a mat of them, and gobs of fish. And I'm pretty darn sure that there's two different kinds of perch in Lake George. There's the perch that I call them schoolies. They're usually 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches long, and they're in big wads, just barely hovering over those weeds. The brilliance there of that survival tactic is a pike, a lake trout comes over, and I've seen them do this on the video camera lots of times. A bigger fish comes over and they dive right down into that perfect bed of weeds, and they can be hidden and they'll live another day. Those weeds have lots of microorganisms in them, lots of scuds and plankton and freshwater shrimp and stuff, and they feed on that and they grow. until they get to 8, 9, almost to the 10-inch range. At that point, they're outside of a swallowable fish for a lake trout and most pike. Then those bigger ones can migrate up into the 20 feet or less deep water with the topography you saw in that video right there. There's an immense amount of feed in that mud and on those plants. There's snails. Like, I just gutted all those fish that we just caught there, and I looked through them. It was crayfish. It was snails, little baby bullhead. If you think about it, bigger bigger food for those bigger fish. Why don't the little dinks run up in there? Because there's no place they can hide. It separates those two age classes. So I just kind of told you a big secret here, right? So you can catch lots and lots and lots of shorties and filletable fish in that 35, 36 feet of water. You can catch some big ones out there too. But if you find the places that look like that, you can find some of those bigger ones. And once you found them, it's not over. Like you could see in that video, they're swimming, they're steady moving, and they're in a pack. I don't know how big that pack was, maybe 10 feet in diameter, that school. And if you're not on top of them, you might be able to, in that clear water, they can see it maybe 10, 15 feet away and shoot over. That was neat when they were just shooting over toward that lure. They might shoot over and go for it, but if you're 40 feet off, they don't know about you. So you have to move around, and they're moving around. So it's a very mobile, active work to try to find it. Plus, you've got to spend a couple weeks sometimes finding the beds that have those size perch in it. Now, once you've found them, you either run and gun heavy with your jig poles, or you set 3 or 4 tip-ups out, or 6 or 8 tip-ups out on a field that you know they're going to be plowing through eventually. When you get a flag, you don't so much care about the fish that's on the flag. You run over there quickly with a jig pole in your hand, you rip that fish out, and you drop your jig pole, because you can see, in that video, you can see what's going on down there. It's not one perch, it's often a big group of perch. Okay, now I just told you the secret, and you could probably, if you do this, you could get a bunch more bigger fish. But it's really worth discussing the ecology of that lake and the ecology of lots of lakes, whether or not you should be just focusing on catching the jack perch and taking them out. You know, I get lots of comments on YouTube like, you're a giant murderer, you kill babies all the time and whatnot, because I fillet. In fact, I got 1 million views on YouTube of how to fillet perch, and I make this big argument on how to fillet 8 and 9 and 10-inch perch. 7, 8, and 9-inch perch if we're going to be take out the fisherman's lies, right? And the point is, there's a great amount of great food out there on those schoolies. Those fish, the fish that are this long, are still 6, 7, 8 years old. The 6, 7, 8-inch long fish are often 6, 7, 8 years old. They have less contaminants in them because they're younger than a lot of the other fish out there. They're healthy in that way. And there is, I mean, that's the vast majority of the population. So taking 50 perch limits off of that majority doesn't really hurt the population. It is managed well for that. If you change your focus and say, I'm only keeping 11 inches and up, and you're taking 50 of those, you can actually be doing significantly more damage to the population. If you think about it, those bigger fish, and we got a 14-incher in that spot last year, and I checked the age on it. It was 13 years old. I've talked to some biologists, and they matched up similar year classes to that. So that fish has been around for 13 years. The larger perch have a much higher success ratio for their eggs, their fry and their eggs turning into a mature perch. Part of that is because they are healthier fish. Part of that is because those are winners. They have genetically modified genes that match whatever the best conditioned life system is in that lake at that time. If you knock out the top winners and leave just the schoolies, we're not going to have the same amount of success. So I'm telling you the secret, but meanwhile, I really don't recommend getting a bucket full of jack perch. Basically what I do is I take, I don't keep the little tiny ones, but the first 50 decent perch that I catch, I keep. I don't sort them so much, And I feel like that's kind of the evenest way to let the population kind of make their own choices. And I wouldn't hammer on those leafy weed beds so heavy. I like to bring kids there, and it's a fun place to take video and everything. But a lot of times I go out to those weed beds, the 35-foot weed beds. The fish it's a little bit more consistent there. Usually there's spots there, there's fish there every day, and you can usually make them bite, and you can get a meal that way. So those are the tips of the day. I thank you so much that you have watched this far. If this was helpful, if this triggered another theory in your mind, or if you're sure I was completely wrong, please put that in the comments down below. If you want to see how we catch these fish, oh, that Cisco, wasn't that amazing? If you want to see how we use Cisco's for lake trout bait, there's going to be a video for that. You can click on that. Check out our channel, and also Rogers Rigs. That's my website. We hand tie a lot of those rigs, and we're selling all the rigs and jigs that we use to catch perch. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, share, and keep watching. We're going to be putting out as much as we can.